Hey, so in this video, I'm going to demonstrate a solution that we've come up with at my institution to expedite or facilitate the reporting of incidental findings, specifically to help select or provide follow-up recommendations. So in our system, we have a systems macro, so a macro that is available to everybody, regardless of whether it's like in a personal profile. It's just a part of the system called incidental. And basically, if you say macro incidental, and this thing appears, right? So this is a macro with other macros listed, nested into it. And what you can do then is, you can say, pulmonary nodule. You just say that when this is selected, and it'll select pulmonary nodule, and then from this you can select the appropriate, Fleischner criteria category that then provides the specific, follow-up. And then for each of these, there's kind of some inbuilt guidance information from the white paper or the relevant reference that's kind of also linked there. So you report the finding in your report, you describe it in the impression as you'd like, and then you say macro incidental, and then you pick from the list which incidental it is. Let's see, like this, and then you kind of pick the follow-up recommendations. So like some of these are pretty complex, like for example the pancreatic cyst one. There's like a lot of differing variables, a lot of different things. Like I once tried to learn all of these, and it was difficult. PowerScribe does have a inbuilt clinical guidance tool right here, where you can kind of go through and look. I have found that a few people use this, at least at our institution, and it's not zero, but for some of these, let's try and find the pancreatic lesion here, pancreatic cyst, right? So to really understand this, like you'd have to maybe like go through the 5 flow charts and the 2 tables, or if you were to use this tool, you'd have to click down here, find this, double click here, input, click. It's like I think I counted up. It's like a dozen, somewhere between 10 and 20 clicks and things. Whereas if you were to use, do macro incidental, click, it's a lot quicker. It's a lot more efficient, and it kind of simplifies it. So that's kind of a thing. And the way that this works also is that all of the daughter macros are also macros themselves that are sister macros, so they can be called directly. So you could say something like macro pancreatic cyst, and this would come up directly, so it would take you directly to that, or macro pulmonary nodule. So just to give you a sense of all the differing kind of options within each of these. So this covers basically the most important. I'm not 100% sure if it's all, but it's all or nearly all of the things that there are ACR white papers on. No, that's the parent macro. There's some things that are where there's guidelines from either the American Heart Association or some other professional society where the ACR does not have a specific thing. And basically, Fleischner criteria also, and some of these, like the thoracic aortic aneurysm or ectasia dilation, that's from the American Heart Association. Some of these are referencing some other papers which are also linked. So this, I had initially created this as a personal macro. It's quite a bit of legwork to get it started. But then we found some utility to it, and we uploaded it to our system, and people now use it throughout the system. And we did a little bit of a QI project and looked at how often it was used, and it is now used vastly more than the inbuilt function. Actually for a lot, I think more than half of the potential incidental findings, it is basically used exclusively, and nobody uses the clinical guidance. And actually, to begin with, few people used the clinical guidance here tool anyways, because I think it's just so cumbersome. And so this kind of helps. Something like this can help people be a little bit more adhere to the guidelines or make the recommendations, make recommendations that are close to the guidelines. Now, of course, there's some limitations. This is a static tool. If any of them are to be updated, we'd have to go in and update the recommendations. That's something I keep an eye for myself and for our system. But if you wanted to create something like this, or truthfully, it'd probably be a lot easier just to download this. So this macro and this tool is provided, and a link in the description of the video, and in an online repository. So it's available to anyone else who uses PowerScribe, or frankly, you could take all the component parts and port the language and reconfigure or modify into any other system, or that may take a little bit more legwork, but this has portability to other PowerScribe systems. Okay, well, I hope you learned something there, and I hope this inspires you to think about other potential solutions for reporting and guideline follow-up of incidentals, adhering to other sorts of guidelines. There's a lot of power here in leveraging the less well-known or actually the incredible nesting ability of macros in PowerScribe. All right, well, thanks for listening.